Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Screen Coven. In this episode, we are going to review the season 4 trailer to one of my absolute all-time favorite shows, From on MGM Plus. From the time I'm recording this, the season 4 trailer dropped just a few days ago. And since then, I have watched pretty much all 3 seasons over again and studied every trailer and spent a ton of time online just doing a bunch of research, trying to figure out what the heck is going to happen in season 4. And I have a lot of thoughts and a lot of crazy theories, and I really want to share them all with you. But before I get too ahead of myself, I think we need to start with a thorough review of this trailer and my reactions to it. So that's what I'm going to do in this video today. And I'm going to try not to get too off the rails with my theories yet and save all of that for a different video, or let's be honest, probably several videos about all of the different theories and thoughts that I'm having going into season 4. If you've already watched my first video on From, thank you so much. I dove into the season 4 teaser trailer and briefly recapped where some of the main character plot lines ended in season 3. The season 4 trailer starts off very reminiscent of the season 1 trailer. The crows are being aggressive and flying through town. We see a funeral. At the funeral, we see Tabitha, Julie, and Ethan hovering close to one of the graves. I think we could likely assume that one of the graves they're hovering close to is Jim's. However, I don't want to completely count on that. Next to the other grave, we see Kenny standing next to the new girl, Sophia. I mentioned Sophia in my From teaser trailer reaction video. We know that she's being played by actor Julia Doyle, and she'll be a new series regular for the show. If we fast forward through the series trailer, we see that Sophia arrived in FROMville with a new priest of some sort. And it's hard to say for sure because in the teaser, I feel like we saw that guy in the background once, and even at another point during this trailer, it seems like we maybe see him in the background, but I really don't know for sure. There's still some background actors in the show that, we don't see very often, so it could have just been them. Because when you're looking at this photo, we're not seeing this guy there. And who else would this Sophia character be caring about, of course, as a new person in FROMville? And it also looks like they got into an accident when they did arrive in FROMville. We see a scene where a car has come crashing through the police station. And we also see Sophia in the car with shards and debris all over her, which of course explains the different cuts that she had all over her neck that we saw in the teaser trailer. If the priest that Sophia shows up with does die right away, I'm really curious as to how. Is it just from the car accident? Do one of the monsters get him? Does someone else do it? I'm a little curious just because another priest showed up. Was this Fromville's silly way of trying to replace Father Cautry? But it obviously didn't work very well. Or I mentioned this in my teaser trailer recap video that Sophia gives me Sarah vibes. And I'm really curious to see if there's any connection to Sarah with either Sophia or the priest that she showed up with. In the next part of the trailer, we see Boyd in front of Abby's grave, and he's explaining to her that he feels like he's changing, and he doesn't know if he likes what he's becoming. We then see a hand appear to come out of the grave and grab Boyd, which sparks a series of flashes of mostly past events that have taken place. One thing that I thought was interesting to note, but it's such a quick flash on this that it's hard to know if there really is anything to it or if it's just a quick flash. But this is supposed to be Abby's grave, right? And we would assume that this is Abby who is reaching up for Boyd. And when we see the second hand come out of the ground to grab Boyd's arm, we do see what appears to be a wedding band on it. But something that I thought was interesting is that, again, this is such a quick flash, but this appears to be silver instead of gold. And I was trying to go back and figure out exactly what Abby's ring looked like. I'm pretty sure that her ring is gold. I mean, we see Boyd look at a ring many times that has this infinity engraving in it and it's gold. So again, it could be nothing, could just been a really quick flash, but it does really look silver. And I wonder if that means this is not Abby at all. We then see what appears to be the stairs leading down to the cellar where Boyd went when they found Fatima in the root cellar. And then we get a glimpse of a dead man who is sitting there with a very creepy look on his face. His eyes open and glazed over. His skin appears rotting. His mouth is open, and there appears to be a live rat climbing out of it. We can also see behind this man there appears to be another body on the ground. This clip isn't really ringing a bell to me offhand. Who is this? Are we in the tunnels? Are we somewhere else? How long has this man been there? And how does this relate to Boyd? I don't believe we've seen this man at any point in the story. It appears like he might have something around his neck, like maybe it's a collar of some sort, but really this frame doesn't give us much more to go on. We then see Marielle, who was locked in the root cellar at the end of season 2. And my question is, why are we seeing her? Why not Julie or Randall? Is there something to her story that we need to be taking a closer look at? We then see a flash of the man that Jade sees in season 3, episode 3, where this man appears to be standing outside drinking blood from a skull. I have to wonder, why is this flash being associated with Boyd when Jade's the one that saw this man? Although the interesting thing about this clip is the man isn't drinking it, he actually appears to be offering it. Could this be something from Boyd's memory and not Jade's at all? We then see a cross hanging from the window in a car that appears to have an angel on it. It's a little hard to make out if there's anything really significant about this. Really, the question is just, again, why are we having this flash? Was this a sign of Sophia coming into town? I'm sure we'll find out. And then we see, of course, the worst day in Boyd's life, the day that he had to lose Abby. And then we see one of the wooden creature statues. And then suddenly it's something new. So we see a couple of our characters outside, and they appear to be uncovering what looks like giant stuffed dolls or puppets of some sort, which of course is something we have not seen yet in the show. Or have we? We get a close up of one of the faces. It's missing an eye. The mouth is woven together in a very terrifying way. And then we're seeing one of these characters appearing to be actually coming to life at night. And there's also two flashes of characters from a couple of the drawings that we've seen many times. And I can't help but notice that they look oddly similar to these puppets. So the question is, were these particular drawings supposed to be referencing these puppets all along? One thing that seems to be clear from this sequence is that we're seeing a lot of things that have already happened and some things that haven't. And Boyd is really at the center of them all. We then see the new character Sophia and the priest that she arrives with come to the tree in the road. Now, of course, none of us would be happy if we were in this situation, but I do think it's a little interesting just how concerned and kind of filled with fear both of their faces seem to have here. Could they know what this is? Could they actually know where they are and what's about to happen to them? One of the next thing that we see is Jade in the tunnels, and he runs into a young boy. And one of the things I can't help but notice is just how much this young boy looks exactly like Jade. We know that Tabitha was in FROMville as a child. And since Tabitha and Jade's stories are always connected, I think it's pretty safe to say that this child could be a young Jade. And maybe we're finally going to get insights into his past as well. During this same sequence, we hear Donna tell Boyd that people really want to know what happened down there. And we can assume that she means down in the root cellar when Boyd followed the Komodo woman down and saw that Fatima's baby turned into the reincarnation of Smiley. Of course, I really believe that every line that makes its way into the trailer is going to have multiple meanings to it. I think it's safe to say that this is also referring to the origin story of FROMville and what actually happened in those tunnels a long time ago to the children, especially since the Komodo woman showed Fatima some of that story, and now she has that knowledge to share with the rest of the people in FROMville. I also just wanted to point out that I thought it was really interesting that they're having this conversation in Fatima's room at the colony house. And sure, you could excuse this as, well, they're probably talking about her, or maybe she's in bed and so they're there so they can also have a conversation with her. I don't know, it could be any one of those things. But I think the important thing to note here is the fact that Boyd is standing in front of the window. And without getting into it in this video, we know that there is something to be said about being high up above the town so that you can almost see over it in a way. But the main thing I wanted to note about this is that the dream catcher that Donna gave to Fatima for her birthday is in prominent view. And we know that dreams and nightmares are a very big theme within this show. So I think this was a very, very important thing to note. I'm going to come back to this in a different video where I dive into my actual theories about the show, but I really don't want to get sidetracked for this video. The first round that I actually did to record this episode, I managed to get off track and I have about an hour full episode just talking about some of my theories already. So I'm going to put this into a different episode. Bear with me. We will come back to this. But for now, let's just focus on what we're seeing in the trailer. In the next few clips, we're shown Julie, Ethan, Jade, and Tabitha. Julie expresses to Tabitha that she's worried about the fact that her dad, Jim, hasn't come home yet. We see Tabitha walking through the woods, and this could be a couple different things. I kind of think they want us to believe that this is her walking through the woods and potentially discovering blood or Jim's body, or I guess something else, maybe something left behind by Julie, the future Julie, during the scene in which the man in yellow came and murdered Jim. And that might very well be the case. However, I do just want to point out that because she's in the same clothing that we left her in the last scene of season 3, this moment could actually be happening right after she had left Jim at the end of season 3 and not hours or a day later when she's looking for him. So she could be seeing anything, really. We then see Jade approach Tabitha while she's with Ethan and Julie and tell her that we need to talk. This could mean that he has news about Jim, but I also imagine it just means that we need to talk about all the things we just learned, that you're my wife and we had another kid and all this other craziness. We then see Julie and Ethan open up the barn door, and their faces appear pretty shocked and concerned. We then see a look inside the barn, and there are the words, "Knowledge comes at a cost," painted on the wall. We then see Tabitha looking at what we assume is that same wall with a horror filled look, and Jade explains that it means everything they showed us is real, and he thinks they're doing it to make us afraid. And Tabitha explains that it worked. Later in the trailer, we get another glimpse of what appears to be the same moment, and we get Julie screaming in a truly horrified way, and we see Tabitha drop to the ground in anguish. So I think it's probably safe to say that we do find Jim or some part of Jim's body here, something that confirms to Tabitha that he is in fact gone. When we fast forward in the trailer, we do see a very quick flash of Ethan with Jim. And whether that Jim is actually Jim or a different Jim or someone pretending to be Jim, that's another conversation. We then see Victor with Henry. They're outside and Victor is digging something up. And then we see that what Victor had dug up were drawings. We see Henry looking at one of Victor's drawings of a man in yellow. There's a car next to him, and what appears to be some sort of a building, maybe? It also could be a portal. It could be a lot of things. It's really unclear what it actually is. But the fact that they're showing us this in the season 4 trailer means there has to be something to it. We hear Marielle say that there's something ancient here, and it's feeding off our suffering, and it doesn't stop. And then the next thing we see is Ethan, Jade, and Victor standing around what looks to be the man in yellow's suit, laying crumbled in the dirt by a tree. And I do just want to point out that there is some stonework around this tree. You see kind of like a small rock wall right here next to Victor. You see some stones kind of wrapped around the edge here next to Jade. I'm not 100% sure where this specific area is, but it does feel like there must be some significance to it. And of course, having the suit being laid down by the roots of a tree feels significant for this show. We then get a flash of the jukebox.